I wanted to take 1 second to come in and first, I want to welcome you guys to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you want to learn about finance and hear financial news and commentary from a Black perspective on a daily basis, then make sure you subscribe at theblackfinancialchannel.com. So anyway, one of the things that I thought would be an interesting topic to kind of talk about is, the stock market in terms of why the market hasn't been reacting in a negative way to all the chaos that's been going on this week. A lot of you, unless you've been living under a rock, have seen just really history, really a historic level of just chaos. I mean, just the protests, which turned into some rioting and looting and burning buildings down. I heard about some cops getting shot, some protesters getting shot. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, as a Black man, I don't feel that Black people are the ones who are connected to any of that. I don't think Black people are the ones that are going to go out, start, taking out cops and blowing up, or burning down buildings and stuff like that. And so a lot of this basically is that, these protests are something bigger than just about, the death of George Floyd. Basically, there's been a long-term battle between the far left and the far right. The fascists against the anarchists and the Antifa types to basically try to destabilize, either whether it's democracy or destabilize capitalism or whatever. Now, you can feel how you want about all of that one way or the other, but my goal here is to help you have some understanding about what's been going on. A lot of you are investors. Everybody who's an investor who's in the chat, shout out, just say yes, say I, say me. Everybody investing for the future of your family. Just say something in the chat. Just say investor in the chat. Type investor in the chat. Let me know that you're investing for your family. Let me know that you're putting your wealth in the stock market or wherever you want to put it in real estate. You're putting it into your business. It's very, very important that we understand how a Black agenda can differ from a liberal agenda, or how a Black agenda can differ from a conservative agenda, or how a Black agenda differs from anybody else's agenda, because your allies have an agenda that's different from you. And I think it's very important for Black people to know this. Like, what we're fighting for is freedom, sovereignty, strength, and community. I think Black people, we possess a few elements of our culture that make us liberal, but we possess some elements of our culture that make us a little more conservative. We're not into blowing up buildings and pushing forward with, the LGBT agendas and things like that as much as everybody else. So because I think Black people, we need an economic base. Like, that's where we are, and I think reminding ourselves of that is very, very important in a world where everybody wants to stray you in one direction or another. For example, when your child goes to college, they're going to be introduced to a white liberal agenda, which is going to push them in a certain direction, where they're going to spend a lot of time talking about LGBT, feminism, climate change, immigration, and all the things that don't necessarily have as much of a direct impact on your community. What Black people need, and this is my 2 cents, you can take it for what you want, is we need an economic base. All these other groups, Antifa and the leftists and the anarchists, or the Democratic Party, the socialists, they have an economic base. They've got billionaires like George Soros that are financing their agenda. They've got financiers for their agenda. The far right, they've got an economic base. They've got billionaires like Donald Trump and the Koch brothers and others that are funding their agenda. Black people, I ask you this one question, very important question. Who's funding your agenda? Who's really funding your agenda to the tune of billions of dollars? Sure, I know Jay-Z might spend, $50,000 bailing people out of jail, but I'm talking about who's really funding your agenda at a stratospheric level. You don't have that. So the number one thing that you need in order to build community strength, Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this all the time, and you need an economic base. You need investors. You need wealth builders. You need to own your neighborhoods. You need to own stocks so you can have a piece of America. Instead of feeling exploited by America, you can benefit when America benefits. That's what share ownership is all about. And also, you should have businesses. We need at least 1 million of our children trained to be entrepreneurs in the next generation, because these million children are going to create 10, 20, 30, 40 million jobs that are going to allow us to feed the whole hood hood. We're going to feed the whole community, as opposed to integration where you can only feed one or two. You can only feed the Negro who got the job while everybody else sits outside and starves. We're not trying to do house Negro, field Negro kind of thing. We're trying to build a house for everybody. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying, if you agree with any of that, if you can go get on board with any of what I just said to you, because I want to make sure we understand why we're doing things before we understand the what. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. If you haven't learned to buy your first share of stock yet, just go to firstshareofstock.com. I can show you. Takes 10 minutes. Video's free. It's a great training. You're going to love it. Firstshareofstock.com. So here we go. All right. So right now, one of the things that I've been asked, I was asked this by one of my students. I thought it would be worth talking about in a video, is why hasn't the stock market collapsed in the midst of all this chaos? I mean, you've got, you're this close to martial law, tanks going up and down the street, armored vehicles, soldiers with machine guns. They're calling in the National Guard. Now they're going to call in the active duty military. Then they're going to call in the reserves, and it's going to be crazy. So the question is, why hasn't the stock market plummeted in the midst of all this chaos? Because that is a risk factor, right? When stores are being looted and burned down and stuff like that, that's a problem. Well, the interesting thing about the market is that the market is very, it can be very emotional to an extent, but it can also be dispassionate and disconnected as well. There are a lot of computer algorithms and things like that that kind of determine how buying and selling take place in the market. And basically, one of the first things that the algorithms do, and that the Wall Street experts do when they're making money, is they look at the past. A lot of times, understanding the present and understanding the future comes down to studying the past and gaining what you can from the past. Very, very rarely is there anything new under the sun. So ultimately, when you're an investor, the way you try to figure out what the market might do in response to, or what the economy might do in response to something like this, is you go look at, okay, what happened in 1992 when there were the LA riots with Rodney King. Now, this is different, though, right? This is global. This is national and global. So it's different. It's not the same as Rodney King. You say, okay, well, let's go back to, the 60s, and Dr. King was killed. Kennedy was killed. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty. What did the market do? And what they found is that most of the time, at least up until this point, throughout American history, when there was chaos and crazy things going on, the economy kind of, it took a little bit of a hit, but it would come right back. It would come right back and keep on ticking. So what you've seen this week, and today's June 2nd, what you've seen this week, those of you who are investors have seen your money go up. I see you, Frederick Jackson. Frederick says, I looked at my portfolio. I'm up 3% today. Yeah, because what's going on really is that the recovery from the Corona scenario, which I really felt, honestly, to be honest with you, I don't pay attention to what media tells me. I pay attention to what I tell me and what my research tells me. My research told me that the Corona thing was exaggerated from the beginning. I told you guys in the very beginning, they were predicting 2 million people were going to die. When I saw that the number was, when they were talking about 50,000, 60,000, I said, okay, that's not higher than a flu season. I'm waiting for the big bang. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. The other shoe never dropped. And now even Dr. Fauci is saying that we may not even have a second wave. There is no second wave. When there wasn't a first wave. If you consider a wave to have been 1 million deaths or higher, there was no first wave. There was a tiny little blip, a little pebble on the, a little wave made by a pebble in the water, but it wasn't a tsunami like they were sort of predicting. So those of you who invested consistently and sort of did a lot of the things that we talked about during the Corona scenario probably made a lot of money. And so right now the market is priced in what they call a V-shaped recovery, which means straight down, pretty much straight back up. What they're wondering, though, is that there's a large segment of experts right now who think that a lot of this recovery of the market is a hoax. They think that's fake. They think that that's not going to last. They think the market is being a little bit overly optimistic, in which case that involves some portfolio protection, maybe looking into call and put options as ways to kind of, sort of protect from the downside and things like that. And so anyway, one of the things that I'm reading here in the CNBC article is basically I think the number one reason that you don't see the market drop during times like this is because the market's sort of like, what, people are going to go crazy. People are getting emotional. People are jumping up and down and screaming. We're just going to focus on making money. And right now, the biggest issues in terms of real economic activity have to do with the virus. How soon is a vaccine going to be available? I admit I'm not going to take it. But, when Bill Gates and his friends make their vaccine and everybody takes it, that's going to be an important measure for consumer confidence, consumer safety, people feeling comfortable going out in public together. But I'm going to tell you this. This week, I took my family down to Florida. And down here, in this part of Florida that I'm in, not many people are wearing masks. People are actually shaking hands with each other. There's just not a lot of discussion about the corona thing, so it's really become a political football, which could be a dangerous thing, right? Because it's still out there. But I think that the confusion for me is that, okay, a month ago you were telling us that, we shouldn't even go out on our front porch. We shouldn't even talk to each other. We should distance from each other. But then now, a lot of the media seems to be pleased with the protests. They seem to be pleased with, hundreds of thousands of people coming together, in what they previously considered to be very dangerous. Remember, a month ago, people were being shamed for coming together in large groups. Now they're being applauded for coming together in large groups. That tells me that whatever threat that there is, it may be real, but it's not that bad. That it may be real, but it's very biased. It's in the eye of the beholder. It kind of depends on whether you're liberal or conservative, Democrat, Republican, all that stuff. So what I would say to you guys is, those of you who are investors, keep being investors, keep being, get involved, pay attention, go to the protests, whatever you want to do, have your social opinions on issues. But remember, for Black people, the number one driving factor is not the social stuff. It's the economics. That's where you've been neglected. They've given you the social. They've given you a lot of the acceptance that you wanted, and people believing that, Black Lives Matter and everything else. So yeah, okay, great. But Bob Johnson this week actually asked for $14 trillion in reparations. He said, okay, you're saying you accept us. Well, if you accept us, then put your money where your mouth is. I thought that was a great power move. I think that was a great way to say to the world, Black people have grown up. Black people are not just asking for you to tell us that we're wonderful people. We already know this. We're asking for you to pay what you owe. If you can't pay what you owe, then what you say doesn't matter. You're just giving lip service to our egos, and that's not what we need right now. What we need is a base, an economic base, and 14 trillion will be a nice start on building a better, stronger community. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. And let me just say this too: by just doing some of the things that we talk about here, in embracing family investing, creating family LLCs, things like that, you can actually create $3 to $5 trillion in wealth for yourselves in one generation on your own, without asking for anybody's permission, without waiting for anybody to write a check, without waiting for any government to pass a bill. Just by participating in the stock market, you're naturally connecting your wealth to the wealthiest people in America. And maybe capitalism will fall. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But until then, the 1% is usually going to do pretty well. And by investing, what you're doing is you're just tying your boat to what the 1% get, and whatever. So when they make money, you make money. I'm not as mad when Amazon is worth another $100 billion if I'm an Amazon stockholder, and now my family's net worth goes up because Amazon's net worth goes up, right? And all the money that we're putting into, shoes and clothes and cars and everything else, a lot of that money could be invested toward the future in small amounts. Fast food money, a percentage of that could go toward building a great future. Just by investing consistently the amount of money we spend on fast food, that amount of money, if you match that and just invest as much as you spend on fast food, your family would be financially secure within one generation, and probably close to millionaire status. Seriously, like if a parent had a child that's 1 year old, and they said, whatever amount of money I spend on fast food, I'm going to put it in the stock market. And if they did that consistently over 30 years of that child's life, then they would be able to hand that child a check for maybe $250,000 or $200,000, which would actually put them in a position where they are part of the 10%, maybe even the 1%. And then on top of that, if you then send that child to a camp or something where they can learn how to start a business, then they're going to be able to see where the money is. They're going to see where the opportunities are. They're going to know how to navigate. They're not going to be searching for jobs. They're going to be searching for opportunities. And then what they'll do is they'll take that $200,000 and turn it into $1 million. So that child will be a millionaire. So I encourage you, again, I repeat this 1,000 times because some people don't hear it. I want to make sure everybody knows this. before you send your child to football camp, basketball camp, cheerleading camp, send them to some sort of financial camp. Send them to some sort of scenario where they're going to learn the pillars of wealth, the ways that people make money, how to position themselves to be economically strong so they can actually at least build a family economic base before they get distracted by all the other stuff that's out here. So that's my 2 cents. That's my belief. That's what I've seen from the research I've done for many, many years as a finance professor. This is my life. This is what I do. This is what I know. So anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button right now if you haven't done it. If you're on Facebook watching, please share this to your Facebook page. Twitter, please retweet. Also, if you haven't learned to buy your first share of stock, you can go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. It's totally free to learn how to do that. Also, if you want to enroll your kids in our Black Business School for Children, it's really, really good. We teach a lot of areas of wealth. It's extraordinarily good. Feel free to go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Somebody type that in so everybody can see it. Blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So I'm out of here, guys. Take care, and thank you, Rufus and Nico, and I see you guys in there. What's the name of the companies you used to name that we can invest in? I can't even read that W. Look at. I'm sorry. I think you got a typo or two in that sentence. But either way, though, if you want to learn more in terms of what I'm doing with my students and showing them the stocks I'm buying, things like that, then feel free to go over to the Black Business School and check out the Black Stock Market Program, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is $1, so give it a try. Theblackstockmarketprogram.com. There's 100 hours of curricula. There's all different kinds of stuff in there about what I'm buying and stuff like that. So you can feel free to try that out if you want to learn more. So I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm hitting the button and it's not going off. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to shut the browser, guys.